citation, but your real due process occurs in court. You go up to the court, you end up in court, you go to the judge, and you say, all right, the judge may very well himself or herself give a judgment in your favor. They are independent of, that's why when you have a municipal court, the judicial government is independent. They can do certain things what we call enforcement officer's discretion. But there comes a day where we have an ordinance, either we have to update or change the ordinance, because we may see it's not achieving the intended results that we want for the city, or they're obligated in cases to apply enforce ordinance. But the judge themselves could hear a situation or a case, and you may get your chance to come before the judge, or even you could in a situation where you come before the council. If somebody asks for, when you go to community development, you go see Mr. Michael Hughes, and you say, here's my situation. He may get you in a position where you ask for some type of variance or some adjustment, and the council hears it, they may grant you that. So there are options for citizens that cannot meet certain requirements. But these guys, like police officers, they don't set the law, they enforce the law. And sometimes the way to fix that is to point out a law that may be a challenge. So I want to make sure we clearly state that. There's a difference between discretion and then eventually getting your day in court, or having your something at the community development level addressed with our rezoning or getting a variance on that. And the variance means you get to say, hey, in this case, we look at a special situation, we want to make a change. So I hope that makes sense.
Hi, ma'am. Do you have an issue that you need to have addressed? Yes, ma'am. Oh, okay. I just wanted to make sure, because I was going to offer to have Mr. Silver speak with you after. Okay. Go
I
ahead.
just wanted to ask how many businesses have been, sent notifications that they're not in compliance on?
25.
So it is a concerted effort to review all the businesses as well.
Absolutely.
They kind of do a drive around.
Yes, ma'am. We're actually starting to go down veterans. We're going to go business to business.
Okay, so Veterans Memorial is a personal pet peeve. And we are absolutely going there, at least on my side of veterans, which is the north. I'll get to you in a second, I'm sorry. But yeah, so we are absolutely going after. There's, as y'all know already, all that now. But let me say this too. If you take a look at our budget, we get a considerable amount of money from those, some of those auto dealers. And so, yeah, I understand, sir. But what's the process? It's a process. They don't go right away. But the point is to make them start to come into compliance. So, give you one example right now. We're working with Leland Plaza. They need to make some updates. They're going to have to pave their entire parking lot. And they're not the only ones. And so I just wanted to say we absolutely are not just going, like after residents.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, would you say that the majority of the complaints that are called in are called from our neighbors?
I really don't know, to be honest with you, because I don't see all the complaints that come in. I just see them in the system.
Okay.
There's a mix, though. There's a mix.
Okay, so can we take maybe
Two more questions? Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, I think a fair bit of the concern probably comes from folks on fixed income or who are in disability who are concerned about compounding citations impacting their ability to own their property and have a home. I would just make a suggestion to you guys that if this is a road you're going down, to put more communication out to those folks if there's a recourse for them and if there's assistance available to them, because compounding fines to someone who doesn't have money in the first place isn't going to help them. Like, the building's not going to get better in that situation.
So what we do in those situations, if we find out that you're a senior citizen and you need help, we get the help that they need. It's a joint effort. We have tools in our toolbox that we use.
Yeah.
So we partner, we send people to different organizations to assist them with getting help. If they qualify, we give you the list and you go, and if they qualify, they will help. So we've had done that.
Yeah, because I think the concern's probably coming from a lack of education there.
It is. That's why we try to educate everyone. One more question.
I just wanted to know, how do you work with conjunctions of the HOAs in the community?
That is a good question. We can't enforce the covenants, but we can enforce code violations. So we can't help you enforce your covenants. If it's not a violation of our ordinance, we can't deal with it. And we tell them that up front. I think that's my time. Thank you, ma'am. One more? Okay. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. I was curious, beyond the code violations that are for citizens and that are visual and aesthetic in nature, I was curious about safety violations with businesses. So if there's a code violation and it involves some, I don't know, pollution, chemical, whatever it might be, how is that handled? What's the process for making that business come into compliance? And then further, what's the notification process to the community if there's a safety issue?
We have to get different agencies involved if we find that out. That's not just something that I would do. If it's a board of health concern, environmental concern, then I would make those calls to those agencies and get them involved.
Do you have cases of that nature?
Personally, in our department, environmental cases, spring buffer violations, we have those. But I haven't found one yet where restaurant or something of that nature that I've been told about. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Silver. All right, y'all. Public safety. Before we go into the Q&A, I just wanted to provide this very brief kind of overview. This is not exhaustive and comprehensive of what has occurred, right? But last year, Cobb County and the city of Mableton entered into a one-year agreement at the cost of $9.5 million to provide police services for the city of Mableton. So beginning in 2025, we were on the hook as a community to pay for police. In May of this year, the county and the city entered into a new negotiation, looking for a long-term agreement. However, we did not end up in a long-term agreement, and we signed another one-year agreement for $13 million. In December, this is a little bit out of sync, but in December of 2025, in recognition of the fact that we were going to have to start to pay for public safety or police, we authorized the mayor and council a public safety special services district in 2025. What we did not do was we did not assign a millage rate to that. So we had to wait until we had the second negotiation with Cobb County this year to understand how much we were going to owe them for this year before we could set a millage rate. And so, as everyone knows now, we have set a millage rate. And finally, why did I vote yes? I voted yes because we're on the hook for $9.5 million and an additional $13 million. We have paid $3 million towards the initial 9.5. That $3 million came out of our general fund, and now we have to pay for the rest. So before I open up the floor, one thing I just want to stress is regardless of whether we stay with Cobb County, which actually is my preference, I would prefer to stay with Cobb County for police because I like to see us focus on other things like revitalizing Veterans Memorial, economic development, bringing in more amenities to our community. However, we're kind of getting pushed up against the wall. So we are now dealing with a situation on the ground that precipitates us needing to charge this tax to pay for police, regardless of whether it's Cobb County Police or whether it's a Mableton police force, which obviously that's where we're headed. So with that said, if you got the microphones, and let's just start taking the questions. I'm sorry, it's not working? Oh, well, go ahead. Jessica, do we have another one? This is the third one? Here. Hi. Yes, ma'am.
So, for services that the city did not intend to offer and may not be able to offer for many years, what else can we expect Cobb County to ask us to pay for?
So okay, so every city in Cobb County, or every city in Georgia, has to enter into what's called a intergovernmental agreement with their county. So typically, unless you're some huge city like Atlanta, you don't provide every last one of the services to your community. You will contract through that IGA to provide the services. So a great example with many cities is something like stormwater would automatically just be through the county. You have an agreement with them, and they continue to provide it. You pay them for it, but they continue to provide that service. So we have signed a 9-year IGA with Cobb County for the other services that they will be providing to us, like stormwater, DOT, for example. And so there's no new charge coming from Cobb County for the next 9 years for any of those services. So thank you for that question. Anyone else?
Why require a 9-year contract?
Oh, yes. The reason for the 9-year contract is because Mableton, after our election, we were in a 2-year transition period. And during that 2-year transition period, the Cobb County is on a cycle. IGAs are for 10 years. So they had to go ahead and renew with all the other cities. Mableton missed the cycle. So now with the 9-year agreement, we are now coterminous with all the rest of the cities.
Can you hear me? So my question is about double taxation and refunds or tax equity payments that other cities receive from Cobb County. I understand that when there is a duplication of services, other cities in Cobb receive money back from the county. With Mableton now paying Cobb County separately for police services, will Mableton receive that same refund? And if not, what is the city doing to make sure our residents aren't essentially paying twice for the same service?
Okay, great question. So what she is referring to is the fact that, again, these cities purchase services from Cobb County. Now, all the other cities in Cobb County are considered full-service cities, right? So every last one of them has a police department. Smyrna even has a fire department. Some of the other ones may have fire departments too, I'm not certain. But they all receive a payment back from Cobb County in recognition of the fact that they are providing a service. So for example, right now, we all pay in a special services district, I believe it's 2.29 mils for fire. Everyone in Cobb County pays that 2.29 mils inside of a fire service district. However, like Smyrna doesn't pay it because they got their own police department, right? Now, I'm sorry, fire. So, but because of duplication of services, in recognition of duplication of services, Cobb County gives these cities back a rebate, if you will. Now, what's interesting is Cobb County says they're giving them the money back for parks and libraries, not for police. And at this time, as you all know, Mableton has neither parks nor libraries. So Mableton's not getting anything. Now, what can we do about it? I do believe that we are being double taxed. I believe that in my heart. And we will have to bring, a case that we are being double taxed. And I want everybody, one thing about me, I always say, people also get your own information and know for yourself. And Google it. And go out and look at Gwinnett County. So what happened over a period of years in Gwinnett County is the cities all had to go and literally sue the county. And I'll get to you in just a second. And they had to sue the county in order to make the county change their taxing structure. So what they have, I'll give you a prime example. I'm gonna say a bad word right now, I'm gonna say feasibility study. So in the Mableton feasibility study, it says that we are most analogous to Peachtree Corners. If you go and look at Peachtree Corners taxing structure, what you will see is that they have a base millage rate from Gwinnett, I was gonna say from Gwinnett, and then they pay an additional millage rate because they still use Gwinnett County Police. They pay, so Gwinnett charges them a certain millage rate, so literally, Gwinnett has like a service schedule. You wanna buy parks, it'll cost you X mills. You want police, it'll cost you X mills. And that is the way they do it there. Cobb County is not willing to do that. I think someone asked Commissioner Cupid about that at one of the town halls last year, and she said, for whatever reason, they didn't do it. But I will share this fun fact with you. When they negotiated the IGA with the other cities in Cobb County, their own consultant told them they need to create, or recommended, that they create a special services district for police for unincorporated Cobb, which at the time would have included Mableton. Now, that doesn't mean we're precluded from paying anything for police, but what it means is we know exactly what police is going to cost. And the problem that we've run into with these negotiations with Cobb County is that they went from 9.5 million last year. This year, they jumped to 13 million. They did offer us a longer term contract of like 3 years, but ultimately the costs are escalating year over year. So then the dilemma becomes for the city is, do you continue with these year over year increasing numbers, or does it make more sense fiscally to do it yourself? And that is the place that we find ourselves as a community right now. So, sorry.
Can you hear? I think you mentioned 2.9 mils for fire, correct? So what I did was I went and I just audited my own tax savings, and I noticed that the 2.9 mils, it was there in 2024, but it fell off in the second in 25. I don't know if you guys have seen it. I'd be more than happy to share mine with you so that you can see it.
Can you say that again, please?
Can you talk a bit louder?
I'm sorry. So what I did was I audited my own tax savings. In 2024, that 2.9 mils for county fire was present on the tax statement. 2025, it was no longer present. They took it off. Also, the general fund, that millage actually decreased in 25 versus 24. So I don't know if you guys are aware of it, if you've seen that. Again, I'd be more than happy to share my personal ones with you. But as I look at it right now, I have not made any changes. And that county, that 2.9 mils for county fire is not present on.
And I think it's 2.29, I think is what it's supposed to be. But
something like that.
yeah.
2.97.
Oh, 2.97, thank you, ma'am.
Yeah, so I'm looking at it right now.
Okay.
And the only two line items are the county general fund and the school general fund on the 2025 segment.
Okay.
The county fire is not present on 2025.
Okay, well, let's look at
You guys
that.
are aware?
It might just be you, and you probably shouldn't have told, but we'll see. Okay. Oh, yes, ma'am.
So are you saying that the other cities in Cobb County are getting a refund for their police services?
Not for police. Cobb County says it's for libraries and parks, not in recognition of police.
So no city in Cobb is
No.
getting.
No, they all pay the same base millage rate that we pay and that unincorporated Cobb County pays.
So then why wouldn't the other cities have sued or done what was necessary not to pay?
That is a wonderful, wonderful question. And as I stated, that is what happened in Gwinnett, and that's what made them change. I don't know if the other cities in Cobb have the desire, wherewithal to do that, but I think they should. I believe there's a case that they're probably not being treated fairly. Yes, sir. Oh, yeah, please.
and I'll try to make this brief, why are other cities not suing? They built their budgets on these subsidies. I actually worked in a city, it was getting about $300,000 a year. And their budget was not gonna be met. And so out of fear of losing that $300,000, they just take the check. You know, you think about the time you're gonna have to pay an attorney, you gotta fight. And so you got two choices. Either your council is gonna raise taxes, which is, for most councils, is taking a beat down. Or you're just gonna take that check and be quiet. Mableton was in a great position because we were not dependent on the county for a subsidy. Every other city, for years, they had an old handshake deal, they were getting a check. So now you're gonna change their whole funding mechanism for their budget, which means they either gotta make it up somehow or just take the check. And they did fight back, they fought and got what they considered a fair deal. But Mableton was not dependent, so why are other cities not sued? I know firsthand knowledge, some of these cities were just afraid that they were gonna lose that money.
We have a lady back here with that.
So,
And I'm sorry, and then we have somebody on the other side, Jasmine. Okay, yes,
The
ma'am.
city of Mableton is the largest city in Cobb County.
Yes, ma'am.
And we don't, in what, 80,000 some odd people, there are not a library or a park in all of this area.
Oh, no, no, ma'am. We do have libraries and parks here. However, they're owned by the county. And so in some of these other cities, Cobb is giving them this rebate in recognition of their library or park that they own.
I see.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Yes, there's certain city ordinances such as noise violations that
Yes.
the Cobb County Police has determined that they should not be enforcing. What is the plan for that?
That's correct. So let me explain. And I'll tell you, I know personally because I have a neighbor that had a party a few weeks ago and they didn't stop the music till 5 a.m. And so 3 a.m. we decided to call cops. And they would not, they did go to people's door and ask them to turn the music off, but they cannot enforce our ordinances. So one of the things that I want to just make everybody aware of, when we talk about city light, right? Go out and look at the other city light cities and you're going to find that they have marshal services. So they have police, they might be using county police, but they also have the marshal service. The marshal service is what enforces those local ordinances. So if we're getting our own police force, then that kind of takes care of that problem. But if you're in a true, in the quote unquote city light, then you would have marshals who would enforce that. Oh, okay, who's over here? Okay.
I've got the mic. So I want to ask this delicately.
Okay,
Not sure exactly how.
sure.
With the recent media coverage of the commissioner not wanting any of her commissioners to meet with the finance director of Cobb County privately, we need to understand where Monique represents us in this whole thing.
Okay.
And I'm not sure how that can be done effectively and still keep the water smooth for all the other issues. But we need tremendously strong representatives, not just the council and Michael Owens fighting for us, but Monique fighting for us, against possibly the woman who helped put her in that position.
I hear you loud and clear, and I do not disagree. And, but yes, stay tuned. Yes, sir.
Yeah, I guess the two questions I have, the first 2 years, you mentioned like 2024, we're paying 9.5 for the police. Those first 2 years of the transition, what was the city of Mableton paying on that?
Yes, sir. We weren't.
For police service? And I guess the second question, it's a two-pronged question. You mentioned about other cities that are citywide. Are there any of those in Cobb County, or is this other city lights across the state of Georgia? And in lieu of city light, I know I've run delivery for FedEx. There's a lot of towns in Coweta County. Was is it Mableton ever considered for a town, you know, what level of service would the municipal jurisdiction of a town have versus out of the city?
Okay, so in Georgia, there's no difference between like a town or a city, right? It's, there's in the Georgia Constitution, there's a list of services, right? And I think it's something like 15 or 17 services. And as long as a corporate entity, a town, city, delivers 3 of those services, is considered a qualified city in the state of Georgia. So in answer to your question, are there other city lights or cities that are considered city light in Cobb County? No, there are not. Mableton's the only one. But also, I will tell you, city light is a marketing term. And in Georgia, as long as you deliver 3 of those services, you're considered a city in the state of Georgia. Now, there was another piece that I think I might have missed.
Oh, yeah, during the 2-year transition, what was the Mableton paying for police services at that time? I'm sure if it was anything, it would be less than the $9 million.
Yes.
$9.5 million, way less than the $13.5 million that's coming up.
Yes, sir. You're 100% correct. We weren't paying anything. We were still basically considered unincorporated Cobb. And until the day that Mableton finished that 2-year transition period, they were not considered a qualified city in the state of Georgia. So we were still unincorporated Cobb, and we didn't pay anything for police. I'm sorry. Well, I mean, we paid. I'm sorry. Let me take that back. We paid our millage rate, which the police came out of that. Which yes. Sorry. Okay. So next question. I think we have one right. Oh, yes. Okay, ma'am.
Yeah, so it's more of a practical consideration, but given that we are the largest city in Cobb and our geographical spread, like, do we understand how many stations, how many officers, how many of these things it would take to provide coverage at the same service level we're currently getting from Cobb? Because I think we would need to see that to understand how much further the cost is going to escalate in the future and whether or not the escalating cost from Cobb is a better deal.
You are 100% correct, ma'am. And so what is going on right now, and I know that this is not optimal, this is not set out in like a process-oriented way, is really messy, because this is like a startup company, and we're sort of looking at the sausage being made. But what is happening right now is there's a feasibility study being conducted by a professional firm. This is what they do. I've actually called them on my own. I've spoken to them to understand the methodology, how they do this, but they are doing exactly what you're talking about. They are looking at Mableton. They understand, you know, our crime stats. They understand our population, etc. They take, they have proprietary data. They also take data from other organizations that in law enforcement, and they will come up with what those numbers look like. And that will be the cost to set up a police force and the cost to operate a police force. And we are supposed to have that study back by end of this month, early September. Yes, sir.
Councilwoman Brown, thank you for the questions. Mine's come 2 problems. One is under the current agreement with the county, what is the date after which the county is no longer legally obligated to provide police services to the city of Mableton? And secondly, have they given any indication since May of 2026 that they might be willing to extend it once again if Mableton realizes when they hit that date, hey, we need some more time, we just don't have what we need to set things up?
Okay, great question. So that 1-year agreement will expire in May of 2027, May 31st of 2027. And there is a clause where we are supposed to notify them in, is it 90 days or 60? In 90-day notice, we're supposed to tell them, okay, hey, we will no longer be using your service. Now, will Cobb County, would they work with us if we came back and said we needed more time? Based on, I'll take what the chairwoman has said at face to say she wants to work with us. So I hope that would be the case, if we came back and said we needed more time. But I will tell you that since this whole cityhood movement started in Metro Atlanta. The first one was Sandy Springs, followed by, it was Dunwoody and Brookhaven and on and on and on. A number of those cities decided to set up their own police force, and many of them did it in 6 months to 1 year, and they did it successfully.
Who was the last one that did that? What year was that?
The last one, I don't know off the top of my head. I could get that for you. I actually have a little chart for myself, but I don't know what it was. But yeah, actually, there's a whole book about Sandy Springs that you can read. The gentleman, what is it, Porter, somebody that started Sandy Springs or started that whole movement, he actually has a book, and I have read it, and talked about how he started Sandy Springs, and they got into a situation where Fulton County wasn't really working with them, so they just said, you know what, we'll start our own police force. And they did it in 6 months. And then they consulted Dunwoody, I know for a fact, I remember that. But I can get that for you. Anyone else?
Yes, I have another question, well, actually two. First question, it was mentioned that Cobb County will not, for noise ordinances, or, so did that happen after we became City of Mableton, that they decided not to do this?
Well, it's interesting, and I can't really explain this. I don't know, Mr. Tanks, if you can, but under the last agreement, they were enforcing the noise ordinance as far as I know. And after this last negotiation, all of a sudden they wouldn't. And yeah.
Here's a misunderstanding a lot of people may not know. The noise ordinance is a local ordinance, and I want to hesitate saying Cobb County is not doing what they've done before. It was very rare that a police officer would cite somebody for a noise ordinance, because you got to prove that it exceeds a certain amount of decibels. In order to do that, you got to have a decimeter. What Cobb would do is come out on a call and tell somebody, hey, you're loud, and they would stop. Never pushed them to court. In our case, we got the complaints, and we wanted to actually go out and cite people and put them in court. And that's when Cobb says, we're not going to be doing things that operate in your court because of that. So they're still responding, and if you call and have noise, and they may come out, but it's not like it's going to be a high priority call for them, and they're definitely not going to cite somebody. We want to get to the person, if you're making a noise, we come out and measure, we're going to put you in court. I hope that makes sense.
Thank you. I have one more question. Well, this is not a question, it's really a statement. It feels like Cobb County is punishing us as a city because we became a city. And they chose the boundaries of our city based on the demographics and the amount of money or the average income. Because a lot of city of Mableton includes Austell and all these other areas who we never even thought when the vote was happening it was going to include those cities. So I think Cobb County is punishing us, and that's why they're double taxing us. So anything that we can do to stop the treatment, we already had bad treatment before because we were the south side of Cobb County, right? So now they're extending this treatment, but it's hurting each one of our pockets daily now.
She never got voted in to begin with.
Absolutely. But here we are. Absolutely. I didn't vote for it.
Yeah. So I will say that, just to clear this up though, the county definitely didn't create the boundaries of the city. So there was a group out there that got together and started this whole cityhood thing, and they're the ones that worked with the state legislator at the time, Erica Thomas, and created the boundaries of what now is the city of Mableton. And ma'am, I would say that I don't want to cast aspersions on people, but I do wonder sometimes if there's a little bit of making us an example so that other nascent cityhood movements in Cobb County don't occur. So I'll leave it there.
It should have never happened to begin with.
We voted for it.
Okay. Yes, sir.
My question is in regards to the money.
Yes, sir.
There's an influx, and everyone's noticed it. You live in this city, so you gotta do. You've noticed the number of homes and places being built. So there's a huge influx of new people coming into this area. The money that's coming in due to that revenue, there's a lot, how do you justify such a large increase in taxes that we, as homeowners, are gonna pay, given all of these new homes that are being built? This is a lot of money.
That's
coming in.
more in November, slot.
Yes,
And
sir.
then you're talking more money on top of it for splots.
Yep.
That's
You know,
not more.
we're getting hit from both sides.
Yes, sir.
There's a lot of new homes.
There are.
A lot of new revenue coming in, new businesses coming in, Chick-fil-A. Now you're talking other businesses coming in, now you're talking about this CAD, that's a lot of money.
Yes, sir.
That I want to know how you can justify 4.5 mils.
We don't need a city hall later, we don't need it, no more.
Well, there's some things I'm willing to fight
So,
for.
yeah, so the 4.5 mils is, we had to back into a number, and the number we backed into was $21 million. And in order to get the $21 million, they take the tax digest that exists today, and we look at what is being pulled into Mableton. And it's a snap, the tax digest is a snapshot in time, right? So if we go and have another tax digest in 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, all those new properties will get pulled into it. But right now, it has to be based on what our actuals are. So that's your answer. I'm sorry, did you, oh yeah, sure, if you want to say something. But that is the situation right now, it's based on our actuals.
Your question too goes to the point, all these new properties and why do we feel justified? What people may not understand is Mableton does not benefit from all these new houses because we did not have what we call a general fund property tax. Okay? The only way you collect tax on property, you must assess the property tax. So prior to this requirement that Ms. Brown just explained, to pay the county for police, we were not going to collect the property tax. We would collect the revenues on insurance premiums that are due back to us for people doing businesses, on business license, on permits, on what we call franchise fees. We had collected enough revenue to run this city without doing a property tax. So we couldn't get money for the new buildings. The only reason we do what we call now not a general fund property tax, which means you can spend that money any way you want. We decided to be transparent. We're going to do a special service district, which means the money must be used specifically while we're raising it because Cobb County gave us a bill. So the question is, without a sales tax, the sales tax, that's not put on the citizens' property. Sales tax is paid for anyone that spends money in the city. So if you're coming from Douglasville, you come here to go to the Battery, you buy hot dogs, that comes to us. That's not on you, the property owner. But all those new houses did not necessarily benefit Mableton under our previous revenue structure. And now, as she explained, we had to come up with this amount. And that's how we justify it, because we had to pay the bill.
Oh, I would like to say,
Yes, ma'am.
I have a comment. I appreciate everyone's passion, what we're interested in, but I would like to encourage everyone to educate yourselves before you go to the ballot in November. I heard someone say a new SPLOST coming in November. It's not new. SPLOST have a lifespan, so our current SPLOST is expiring. This vote in November is a continuation of that, so it is not a new tax. So I encourage everyone to be accurate and educate yourself before you speak on something that you're not certain, or even if you think you know it, just double check.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
I got two questions. The first one is,
Yes.
please, what are we doing, what do we need to currently do now, or what is Mableton doing about police chief, what you know of that?
Okay, that is a great question.
And the second
Okay.
one is going to change the channel I want to talk a little bit more on economic development, because obviously our next 10, 15 years are going to be important, and who we put in place is going to be important too, so maybe that's a question for you, but just want to know what we're doing with economic development. How do we set up a proper city as a District 4? What do we need to do?
Okay, so what's happening right now with police, or police force? We had a requisition out for a public safety director, and we have requisition out for a police chief. We have shortlisted both for public safety director, and we have, is it 3? It's down to 3 candidates, and for police chief, it's shortlisted also to 3, correct? Oh, I'm sorry, 10. Okay, sorry, that was wrong. So we've shortlisted to 10. So what is happening now is that they've shortlisted, we're going through the process of evaluating them. Now, I don't know how to run a police force, right? None of us know how to run a police force. So let me just finish, I'm sorry, sir, and I'll get right to you. So we do have consultants that this is what they do. They are working with us. Also, for the interviews, they are panel interviews that include police chiefs from other jurisdictions, public safety officials who are involved, along with staff and council members who have sat in on these. I'll be sitting in on the short list with the police chiefs. Oh, and you know what? I said that none of us know how to run the police, but actually one of our council members was involved with the public safety director, and he actually was a former police officer, and that's Michael McNeely from District 2. So he's been very engaged as well because he actually has law enforcement background. Okay, yeah, yes, sir.
The council's made its mind up, we're getting our own PD, we're hiring a police chief now before you get the capabilities on your back, about whether it's cheaper to run our own PD or not.
Yes, sir. And so what has happened, and I know that's, like I said, it's not process oriented. However, there have already been, through these consultants, they've come up with numbers, right? Based on their experience on how many officers they believe we will need, how much money.
These are consultants you pay to come in here and use information, it's not the actual study.
That's correct, that's correct, that's correct. Now, is it possible the study could come back and be wildly different than what the consultants told us is possible? But, I'm sorry, yeah, but no, I mean, I'll shoot straight, it's possible. And matter of fact, if it came back and it was wildly different, I'd be the first person running back to Lisa Cupid to say, please take me back.
The folks who are making these decisions are looking at existing police services. That's not hard to figure out. You got a beat, you got a patrol, precinct 2 service area for years. So all you really got to do is talk to the people in Cobb County service area. The feasibility study does look at not only what we can do here, but it also looks out 5 years, 10 years, what your projections may be. So it's more of a document that the council can use to make future decisions. But the decision on what we're trying to set up now is based on what the existing services are to make sure we cover at least that, and a minimum maybe exceed some of it. So our information is pretty reliable. They got years of data in Cobb County that we have access to.
She's right here, Nick.
Okay, yes, Ms. Meyer.
I've heard discussion of the Public Safety Division, including code enforcement. Can you clarify how that might change what we currently have for code enforcement?
I don't know that it actually changes, they just fall under the auspices of Public Safety Division. So we maintain the same number of officers, et cetera.
I guess I'm curious as to why that's better than under the city manager.
City manager?
True span of control for any manager is going to be 5 to 7. I now have 13 direct reports, 13 directors reporting. I can become inefficient trying to keep up with 13 directors. So when you have a government that grows, we've been as lean as we can for as long as we can. But eventually you want to get that span of control where I don't have so many people that I have to report to. So it seemed very wise that enforcement, whether it be ordinance or state laws or police laws, that ordinance be under the public safety director because they can coordinate if someone has a dog barking or somebody's dog got bit or somebody stole a dog, that all can be coordinated under one person looking at enforcement.
She's next right here.
Okay. Oh, that's right. I'm sorry. Okay. And I think there was a question also about economic development, and can we hold off on that and kind of take care of the, yes. Yes, ma'am.
Hi, I just want to respond in regards to the coding. I know a number of people have asked if there has been restriction in coding for businesses and et cetera. And I just want to say that I am a really proud person to say that Mableton City Coding Department is excellent. I live in a building that's 7 years old that did not, on my opinion, did not get inspection. And we have several problems on daily basis. So I'm glad to see coding. And just to add to that, I live next to the Shell station on Floyd Road. And you know there's that barbecue place over there. For some of you who've been around for a while, it used to look like Samson and Son. They had all kinds of stuff over there. And many times I've called the city of Cobb County, and they'd come out and, you know, they'd clean it up a little while. But when I called the city of Mableton, that place is, if you see the Shell stations, it is excellent now. It's been repainted. The barbecue place has built in a place to perform their duties. They had 5 grocery trucks out there, all kinds of containers of oil. So I want to say, hey, Mableton is doing a very good job when it comes to coding.
Okay, yes, ma'am.
Is the feasibility study going to be made public?
Yes, ma'am.
And are there guarantees that we are going to follow the feasibility study no matter what the cost is? Or are we going to diverge on our own path if it's too expensive? I mean,
Yes, ma'am. The feasibility study will be released to the public, and I will make a commitment to you that if the city doesn't release it, I'll release it to you, okay? I think it's important. We have to be transparent about what's happening because we're asking everyone here to foot a bill for something, right, that they weren't anticipating. And so, again, if it's wildly divergent, and we don't have a way to pay for it without increasing your taxes exponentially more, I certainly would be a proponent of that.
That's right. People may misunderstand what feasibility studies are. They are academic, theoretical projections. You all know we had a feasibility study that didn't accurately predict, but it's based upon people with credentials who study the stuff. The feasibility study is used as a guide. However, it cannot predict and see every situation. And so I would definitely not be holding the council to do exactly what they see in that feasibility study, because it's exactly that, a feasibility study. Is it feasible? It is not a predictor of the future. It cannot predict that Cobb County will negotiate you. It cannot predict that some storm will come through and we need other services. And so it's just a document that can use to be a guide, but it's definitely not a law. So I don't want anybody misled. Feasibility study comes up, the feasibility study says we need 100 police officers. We may realize right now the budget doesn't afford 100 police officers. We may not need a special SWAT team right now. We might just need traffic, patrol, and detectives. Feasibility study may be talking about having special units, the whole thing. So it's a guide, but do not think that everything that's in a feasibility study is always accurate. It's exactly some prediction.
Thank you. I think Representative Cummings had a question or comment.
I was just wondering if the experts that have been advising the city, if they I was wondering, have they come up with a number, not only to get the police department off the ground, to get it running, because that's one cost. And then, of course, there's a cost to keeping it going in the future. And I know that there have been predictions, but do you know what those numbers are?
It comes up September 1st.
No, I'm talking about with the consultants that you've been consulting with during this process.
The consultants have one clear mission, stay on the police department. They're not gonna do projections 4 years, 5 years on. They have one clear mission, and that is to meet the agreement between the county, which they gave us 1 year to set up our own police department. So their job is not to say, hey, how long can you do it? Their job is to get us off the ground and get started. The feasibility study helps us to plan for the future. So no, ma'am, they have not predicted costs. That's not what their scope of work is.
So right now, do we know the cost?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and how do we conclude that? Maybe I'm asking the wrong way.
You're asking a great question. This is a good question. We have a budget. Our finance director makes a budget. Do you know a budget is just a projection? It is just a projection. A budget is a projection of what you're going to spend. You have a household budget. You may think next year you're going to only buy $300 in gas. Iran and Iraq get into a war, your gas is now $400. I only say that to say this, to her point. We have a projection that it costs $13 million to get a police department off the ground. That's a projection, but it's just not accurate. So we do have a good feel, but it's still like anything else. It's only our projection. We're pretty confident if Cobb wanted $22 million, we think we can do it $13 million, and our 4.5 is going to be enough to handle us either way.
Okay, so I know that Mr. DeMundi had his hand up back there.
It was,
Oh, no?
yeah, no,
Pretty good?
it was
Okay.
answered, thank you.
All right, sir.
Another question. So, in line with what was just said a minute ago, the feasibility study, the purpose, is it to decide whether or not to keep going with Cobb County or to start a police department? Or is it strictly just to help figure out how to start a new police department?
It is laying out, right, the cost of setting up and operating a police force. That's what it's doing. And I think to Mr. Tank's point, it's also laying out an entire vision for what a public safety division could be in Mableton, but that doesn't necessarily mean that we're gonna go and do everything that is contained in that study. Does that answer your question?
It does, thank you.
Okay. Yes, ma'am.
I'm not sure our representative's epistemology question was answered. The question was, how did you get the 13.9 billion? Like, you didn't get it, you said you didn't get it from the feasibility study. So who did you get it from?
Yeah, so what you do is you take current staffing in the city of Mableton area from Cobb police officers, their beats, their patrols, and then you take how many, I think the precinct 2 may have had 70, 80 officers. Okay? So you look at 70, 80 officers, you take a factor. Per officer is a certain annual cost on after cost. We know how much cars cost, we know how much fuel costs. So you kind of get a good projection based on what we call historic trends with other departments of equal size.
Okay, and then she asked the question, how much is it going to cost to start up versus how much is it going to cost to keep it going? Which I also didn't quite hear.
Yeah, we said again, projection. We projected.
Right.
We projected.
Right.
We projected 13 million to get it off the ground.
Okay, but then once it's off the ground, it's like I'm assuming you buy cars, but then you don't have to buy cars again for 10 years. So, or do you? Like what sense do we have?
And for the sake of time, and I trust me, when I respect it, if I'm a citizen, I want somebody to talk to me in plain language. Cars are purchased under the budget called capital. They do those on one-time purchase. They don't become a part of our operating budget. So you buy a car this year, that's not part of our operating budget. The operating budget typically includes salaries, benefits, the cost of ammunition, those things we call expendable. So it's not as simple as how many cars you need. It's a little bit more complicated than that. But yeah, operating is we projected about right. Yeah. It's not so when you buy the cars, you can get cars on leases. There's GMA offer programs. There's people that give you incentives. I couldn't explain all the details, but we got a very good feel for what it's going to cost. And it's not based on hocus pocus. We've looked at other departments. We looked at what Cobb County has spent. We've talked to other departments, and we've talked to subject matter experts. And we've given them a number. We got patrols. We know how big our areas. We know how many beats are in Cobb. We use that as our data basket. Assumptions in there, you come to. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am. Yes, sir. This is going to be our last question because we're almost out of time.
Here, so on Dick Jack Road. So we have a good idea how much the police force is going to cost to set up and operate. Has anyone communicated with the Cobb County to see how much they will save?
Well, yes, sir. So that gets back into the whole conversation we had earlier about double taxation, tax equity, and that is something that we have to continue to move towards with Cobb County. So I think that was a wonderful place to actually end. So I do want to say, for those of you who didn't get a chance to look at the SPLOST presentation out there, please do take a look at it. I know, I look at the social media, and I know that some people are saying, don't vote for it, but if you don't, you're voting against yourself in a way. I've talked to so many people who want sidewalks, they want roads improved, and SPLOST is the way that we get those. So thank you. Sorry. What? We'll have you talk. So thank you all, and have a great